This is a 2-hour LSD.
All right, so we're in the first mile. Just warmed up around the neighborhood. Not sure if you can see that, but I put it on the heart rate display so that I can just make sure that I'm running truly easy. Pace doesn't matter on the easy runs. Also, today's audiobook is brought to me by Matt Fitzgerald. It's called How Bad Do You Want It? Been getting into the mental aspect, my psychology. All right, mile 1, 7:38, heart rate 130. It's a lie. Nah. Not doing 7:38 at that. Mile 2, 7:23. 139 is the heart rate. Try to stay under 141. That's my MAF, my low aerobic threshold. Nice, steezy long run. All right, today's question, maybe the topic of the long run, is running to get faster or running and training for a marathon. I always thought they were the same thing, and I'm coming to understand 4.5 years to 5 years into this thing that they're different. Now, I do believe as you train for a marathon, you can get faster. This is not applicable to people who have been running for 10, 15 years and have reached close to their genetic potential. I mean, those guys and gals, they're going to altitude to try to squeeze out 1% gains. But if you're a beginner or intermediate runner like myself, and there's speed to be gained, sometimes when you're doing marathon training and you're increasing your volume and you're doing more than you've ever done before, you'll get faster just by doing volume. So I think that's where the confusion is, or has been for me in the past. All right, side note on the precision fuel and hydration. It's a lemon lime flavor. No, it's just a lemon, bro. It's like a lemon peel, a lemon rind. It's an extra kick for sure, kick in the balls. All right, mile 3 is a 7:27, heart rate 140. It's a little bit less humid today. The dew point's probably still in the 70s, but it just, you know, there's a breeze. It feels a little bit better. But for context, if you watch the channel, you know what I run in. If not, it's like 76 degrees, probably. Humidity, 80, 90%. Feels like 80, 82, something like that. That's my guess. Still, to be running these paces at that heart rate in this weather is really exciting for me.
I thought you were doing selfies all the way.
No, I have a YouTube channel.
Oh, okay.
So I just film and I go. Now we have done 3 miles. I start running through the neighborhood and out of the neighborhood, past all my kids' schools, and then I go around town. Today, 2 hours of running, usually about 8-minute pace. It's about 15 miles. I think it'll be 15 and a half. I'm not really good at math while I run. So what are the reasons why I like running by that heart rate? It's making sure that 1, I know it's truly easy, and 2, I can't see the pace. Because when I see the pace, sometimes I'm like, ooh, say it's like 8:03. I'm like, oh, it'd be nice to have an 8-minute mile instead of an 8:03 versus the effort. It doesn't mean anything. I will say towards the end of the run, sometimes what I decide to do, instead of just following the heart rate, once I get cardiac drift close to 2 hours in, I'll just hold like an 8-minute pace for the last mile or 2 rather than slide to like 9-minute miles to keep the heart rate. And it's like very mild mental toughness training. All right, 7:44 for mile 4 with some elevation. All right, exiting the neighborhood. We're gonna be running by some schools. I've got an elementary school kid and 2 middle schoolers, 8th and 6th. We're gonna pass up those schools on the other side of those trees. All right, mile 5, 7:48. Get a little downhill after all that uphill. Crossing some railroad tracks. I've caught a train before. Sometimes you catch a train. All right, we're coming up on our first convenience store. About 5 miles in. I usually just get a water. At this one thing, God bless Apple Pay. It doesn't all fit in the flask. I just drink the rest. I make about 3 stops in the 2-hour run. By the way, today we are running in the Primex Strong. We are 555 miles deep. It's in too deep, not deep enough. Actually, I think I could probably get them to 1,000. That's the aim. After these 15 miles, we will be at 570. Oh no. Oh no. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. All right, so I just made a beginner's mistake. After I stopped at the gas station, I turned on the camera and not my watch for the GPS. Then I ran a half mile, quarter mile probably, and then I caught it and I turned it back on. And then I was like, okay, let me run back up the hill and run it back so I get the right distance. And then I was like, wait, no, it's still gonna mess up the GPS anyway, because it's gonna jump from over there back to here. And while I'm thinking about this, I'm still running up the hill. It doesn't matter. I don't want it to give me like a, I should run back. I don't want it to get, I don't think it would, but I don't want it to like think I covered that distance and then jump my pace. I think I'm having a mental breakdown for something that's not significant. This is not perfect. We're just gonna let it fly. And on that same note, I think I'll probably keep this in the video. I guess I need to work on my perfectionism. Thanks for coming along this journey. All right, mile 6, it's at 7:54. So I don't think the GPS got jacked up. It was probably a slower mile because I did uphill a couple times. I didn't count the downhill. I don't know. Let's talk about what we talk about when we talk about getting faster versus marathon training. Guys, I am so mentally fatigued today, and my inner critical parent is out in full force. We had that debacle, the GPS debacle. I'm even mad at these cars right now for being so loud. I wish they could just be quieter, but you know, it really triggers me. I don't like whenever I hear people talking and then they're like, what they about this training is if you, and I'm like, oh, you know, like I just sit in an office, do a talking head video, get a microphone, tell me about it. But Clayton Young, they'll just cut to them running in his series that he's doing on his road to Paris. And it's like 7:34 mile 7. It's a lot of downhill. Not really going that fast. Okay. Car. Clayton Young, you could just hear his foot, like his foot stride, and his breathing is so calm. All right, I make a couple stops to go to the bathroom sometimes. We got this park over here. Okay, so I just made a similar mistake. I just turned the camera off to go to the bathroom. I left my watch running the whole time. So this mile should be about a minute slower. I don't know how long I was peeing. I guess we'll find out. Man, I'm really beating myself up today. For no reason, I don't know why. Rage. Like, what's the point? What's the principle behind what I'm doing? I'm running easy. I know I'm running easy. Mile after mile for 2 hours. That's it. When I get home, the watch is gonna be like, yo, you took it really easy. About 7-8 miles in, we're gonna tax you though. That 10-minute mile is gonna affect everything. It's gonna affect your overall pace. It's gonna affect your overall body of work. I got a really big problem with perfectionism that I didn't know about until right now, because I'm a fan of inventory. I like doing inventory on myself. Like, why? I'm mad. Why am I mad? Well, I gotta follow the breadcrumbs deep into the forest to figure it all out. And then I arrive at a house called Low Self-Esteem. It's like, you're still there? Bro, how do we handle this, man? I've been doing affirmations. I've been putting in that work. Doesn't matter, Andrew. Little Andrew. He's the guy who cares. is trying to perform. So if you're the best at something, then that means you're the best. That's low self-esteem. That's one way it manifests anyway. So I've worked on it, but I guess it's still there. The never-ending hill. Anyway, so like if I finish the run and it's slower than what I know I'm capable of doing, what does it matter? Like, I'll tell you right now, I don't care who sees it. I know you don't care how fast I am. But the fact that I got mad, I think it just goes to show that there's some sort of care, some sort of perfectionism that's running deep. Okay, there it is. That mile was an 8:52. So took about a minute break to go to the bathroom, and I'm just gonna let it roll. You know, in a way, I'm kind of glad I'm having this little breakdown, because now I can address it. I mean, think about like, what if this happened on race day and I ran into some sort of obstacles or hurdles, and then I'm like, oh no, and I would just implode. Catastrophic implosion at sea level in Washington, D.C. All right, there's 2 action steps I think I'm gonna take. First one is I'm gonna slow down, because I can feel myself wanting to make up for that lost time. And the second thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna force myself to post this video, even though I don't want to, because I think no one wants to see me having a mental breakdown in the middle of a long run.
This hill is my favorite hill of this particular run. It's pretty steep. The only thing about it is there's no sidewalks.
Okay, so what I was talking about is like the difference between training for a marathon and running faster, which I thought were the same thing. Like, I knew that there was like speed blocks, and you could run to get faster. And then when you train for a marathon, you're still training to get faster. You just happen to be running a marathon instead of a 5K, which is true to a certain extent. You're just doing like race specific work for the marathon. All right, mile 9 was 7:22. It's usually somewhere around there because of all that downhill. Okay, so what does it look like for me trying to get faster versus doing a marathon training block? Well, I started the Spring of Speed and I hired a coach, Matt Fox, from Sweat Elite Coaching Academy, and I let him really write the plans, and they're time-based. 50 minutes running easy, 60 minutes to 70 minutes easy. At the end of the week, the mileage just kind of ends up where the mileage ends up, around 45 to 55 miles a week. And the long runs on the weekend were like 90 minutes, 100 minutes. Sometimes there's a little pickup, but really when you're trying to get faster and when you're not trying to marathon train or train for a marathon, I feel like that 50 miles is good, 55 miles is good. And if the long run isn't 2.5 hours, you could do some threshold in that long run, maybe like a fast finish. You get 3 quality workouts a week. And I will say, as a consequence, I have gotten much faster, I feel like. Case in point, all the easy miles on this run. Another thing that I really like about the Sweat Elite Coaching Academy and Matt's approach is it's by effort. So like he put today, like the effort should be a 5 out of 10. And so I'm running at a 5 out of 10 right now. All right, mile 10 was a 7:39. I've kind of taken my eyes off the heart rate. I'm just focused on the effort. Actually, this is probably a really good idea. This will go against my perfectionism. Sometimes I get married to the heart rate, corazon. All right, so what I was saying about the easy paces and getting faster was like going into my last marathon in good weather, in nice weather. My average easy pace was around 8 minutes a mile, 5 minutes a kilometer. As you saw today, my mile, you know, like my pace is around 7:30. It's in the 7:30s, and it is not great weather. I've gotten a whole lot faster. I've been doing a bunch of fast running, and I've been getting a whole lot faster. Now this is a gradual uphill for like a mile. This is the second to last long run before we hit a big marathon block. I think the long run next week may actually have some marathon pace stuff in it. So let's talk about what marathon training blocks, marathon training looks like. It's just specifically training for the marathon for a few months, reducing the number of workouts, making them more marathon specific, having a long run, a lot of marathon pace work in it, and really you need about 10 weeks of that. And it's really just all about speed before then. You know, I've actually upped my base mileage from that 50 to 55 to 60 to 65. I don't really believe in scale back week too much for marathon training because I really believe that your marathon performance is going to be what you digest in the 2 months leading up to the race. Like I think that might be true if you don't have a goal race. If you're doing a summer speed and you want to cut back your volume, it would be good on a couple fronts. Probably make you a little more spry for your workouts, and two, to let your body rest a little bit more. But in marathon training, I think it's really all about putting your foot on the pedal, especially if you're like me and you're not very injury prone. So I've been running these 60 to 65 miles. This week I'm running 70 miles. I'm doing workouts and I feel great. Mostly in South Texas, it's about staying hydrated more than it is carb loading in the summer. Now I notice in the heat and humidity, my cardiac drift will happen sooner than in colder weather. And as I get to the end of my long runs, I don't obey my heart rate. And in the beginning, I would slow down to always keep my heart rate under that 140. But then I realized, you know, I already have a couple hours of low heart rate benefit. Now I can get a little mentally tougher if I just keep pressing on at the same pace. Like today, I'm just gonna keep on at 5 out of 10 and let the heart rate go where it goes. So if it goes up to the high 140s, still zone 2, or dips into zone 3, God forbid, help us, you know, then I think I will, I'll live with it. Right now, my concern is getting back to the house in time to shower. I'm gonna be interviewing Aubrey from Aubrey Running about running later in life. All right, on the mile splits, mile 11 was up the hill right before the convenience store. It was a 7:58. And then mile 12 was an 8:17. And pace doesn't really matter. And the pace honestly probably reflects the elevation profile more than anything. And the more uphill I go, the slower it is. The more downhill, faster it goes. I wish I could blame it on sleep, but like a lack of sleep, like maybe I'm just cranky. I don't think I am. I slept 7.5 hours. I think there's just too much anxiety around performance that I gotta deal with. It's very silly. I mean, one, I'm a recreational runner, so there's that. So I don't have to worry about performance. Number two, I'm old, man. Too old for this stuff. So let's return to marathon training versus going fast. So marathon training to me is all about the amount of miles that you can get in and the speed at which you can get them in the 8 weeks leading up to the taper. This is the information that's pulled into the algorithms for marathon race predictors, like Sierra plots. Okay, mile 13, 8:13. So you see we're sliding 15, 30 seconds a mile slower than when we first started. And it would be a byproduct of the weather, no doubt, or my implosion. It could just be an implosion. Anyway, marathon training, all about the amount of volume that you build in and the pace by which you do it. So if you can handle a lot of volume and a lot of speed, you'll run a fast marathon. If you start to really feel it, your body feels it, when you start doing too much speed, you can run a faster marathon by doing a lot of volume. Really fast people who do a lot of speed can get away with running a decent marathon time without as much volume. Now, of course, they would be faster the more volume they did. But to me, that's what explains why some people who are naturally faster can run a sub 3 off of 45 miles a week marathon training to 50 miles a week versus somebody who's much slower running 70 to 80 miles a week in order to achieve that sub 3. I think my fitness aerobically was probably in that 65 to 70 miles a week. That's probably what I needed for Houston, and I was only averaging probably 50 to 55, and then 3 peak weeks at 64, 70, 74. But you know, you can't just do 2 or 3 weeks and expect to get over the hump. Now, my fitness has improved. My easy pace is faster. And according to all of those online predictors, I'm already in sub-3 shape, and I haven't even started marathon training. So that means, yeah, I mean, I need some long runs, need to train the endurance, but like, I could totally, right now, running 60 miles a week, go run a sub-3. 2:57, 58, something like that, I think is my marathon prediction time. Now, I am a big fan of those race predictors. I believe them to be accurate. My offset, I usually finish in a well-run race about 5 minutes in front of what it says. Right now it says I could do a 3:02, and so really I could do like a 2:57 and some change. Right now, that's where my fitness is now. Okay, this is gonna be a gradual uphill, culminating at a very steep hill, and then there's another steep hill after that, so I'm gonna slow this bad boy down. But anyway, what I was saying about the marathon race predictors, so I'm a big believer in them. Talk a lot with the guy who runs CR Plots, which is my favorite race predictor. Algorithm uses the Tandem Predictor race calculator, and his name's Christoph. He made a interface for Garmin, like Garmin Connect. So on your display, you could see what your candidate is. Basically, like if you go out and you run 10 miles at an 8:06 pace, that might be the equivalent of running a sub-3 marathon. And the way it works is if you run slower than that, you could just run more miles and you'll get to sub-3. If you run faster than that, you can run less miles and you'll get there. Now for me, today, we're at a 2:48.55 after 13 miles at whatever pace I'm at. So if I wanted to, and I could use this to inform my marathon training. I could just say, okay, I'm gonna go run every day. You know, when this watch tells me my day is under 3 hours, because I want to run a sub-3, I could do it. And then at the end of 56 days, after 8 weeks, I do my taper and then go run the sub-3. Most people don't do that. Just run the same thing every day. Some people do. And then they go run that marathon. Most people do polarized approaches using training plans or a coach. And there's a long run, there's speed workouts, there are easy days. And the idea is that, like, say your long run like today, that's gonna be well below a 3-hour day. And then if I do a easy day, 7-8 miles at an 8:10 pace or something, that might be the equivalent of a 3:10. So then I take my 2:45 day, my 3:10 day, and it comes out to under 3. And that's another way to do it. So I've taken the polarized approach, hired a coach. The coach tells me where to run it, and then I run it. And I can see that I've been getting a lot faster. So this is really exciting news because, you know, I'm a week away from starting the marathon specific work with a lot of long runs and a lot of marathon pace work in those long runs. And even though it's going to be in this weather, you know, it's still going to be good. Now, Andrew, you say, but you don't say, but I say for you because I'm making this video. If you just go out and run the same thing every day, you're just running a lot of volume to get there, won't you not be able to run a marathon at the time predicted because you're not stressing all those systems? No, many people have done this. It's not just like theory, right? Because you're not losing fitness. Now, just did that big hill. That big hill took me up to 165 beats a minute. It's kind of around my low end of medium marathon pace where I like to start marathon pace heart rate. As you can see, there are no sidewalks on this section. It's also pretty busy, so I step off into the grass when I have to. All right, we got one more steep hill. Mile 14 was at 8:29. Right before I went up that big hill. It's probably even slower. Now I'm going up the last big hill. The hills. Sometimes the hills feel worse. And you know what's stupid is that like when I look at Strava later, it's gonna be like elevation gain 212. Be like, what? Get out of here. 212. I mean, it's like maybe 500 or 600. Hopefully. I don't know. All right, so we are almost 2 hours into this deal. I'm coming up the last hill. This is actually the third hill. I forgot about this hill. Back to my house. Now, I think I figured it out. I think I was under fueled. I don't think I had been eating enough the last few days, and I didn't eat anything this morning. The reason I think it's a lack of fueling is because my 15th mile was at 8:30 also. And normally, you know, like I've been doing this route the last few weeks, and I feel stronger, deeper into it. I'm able to hold the pace a little bit better. It's not like the weather's more oppressive. It's just, I think I'm under fueled. Now I love this. It's my second favorite downhill. Coming down the hill. So I will say, I am very excited to start the marathon portion of the training because I've gotten so much faster in this speed. Spring of speed, summer of speed. And I think I'm already, like I said, in sub 3 shape going into that marathon training. So I might try something ambitious like a sub 250. All right, 15.53 miles, 7:57 pace. I'm gonna shower and try to get some food before I talk to Aubrey. All right, love you, bye.
We came along from last place, bottom to top of the fast pace. Out of this surf, I get touchdown. I take a loss, get it back 8. I'm in the gym putting numbers up. You're never there, you got bad traits. Never excuse.